Hello, my name is Gabriela Villafañe, and today I'm going to be presenting to you my eco-critical analysis for the film Avatar. So before I begin, I'm going to give you a brief summary on what the movie is about. So basically, there's a world called Pandora where highly evolved beings called Omaticaya live, and it's also a home for a highly valuable mineral called unobtainium, and humans want to obtain it. But the land is highly dangerous for humans to go, so in order for them to actually go, they have to make a hybrid of avatars and of Omaticaya and humans, which are called avatars, and then they can go and be safe. So one of the men who volunteered to do this is called Jake Sully, and as the story progresses, he falls in love with one of the Navi women and one of the Matikaya women, and they end up having to battle together to save her land. So my thesis is Avatar by James Cameron uses the character of Neytiri and the connection she has toward the world of Pandora to represent the value of her environment and the passion to preserve it. So the first point I'm going to talk about is the strong emotional connection that Neytiri has towards the animals that live in Pandora. So when Sully and Neytiri first meet, she actually ends up having to kill viper wolves, which are animals that live in Pandora, in order to save Sully's life. But she didn't like having to kill them. She thought that the situation was very sad and she felt really guilty and that they did not deserve to die. She then kneels in front of the dead viper wolves and speaks to them in her native language to give them to pay her respects and give them peace in their rest. So this is the scene. This is when she's speaking to the animals.
Thank you.
As you can see, she's treating them very gently.
Thank you.
Which is ironic, but...
That was pretty impressive.
And then I'm going to fast forward.
I just want to say thanks for killing those things. Ah! Damn!
Don't thank. You don't thank for this. This is sad. Very sad only.
Okay, I'm sorry. Whatever I did, I am sorry.
Well, this is your fault. They did not need to die.
My fault they attacked me. How am I the bad guy?
So as you can see, she was very angry and she felt really guilty and that she thought that they did not deserve to die. So it really shows how she respects the animals. She doesn't just see them as creatures. She sees them as respect-worthy beings. So I connected this to animal cruelty, which is a problem that we're facing today and have been facing for a really long time. So I read this article from The Guardian by Nick Cohen, and he was talking about how multiple viruses spread by animals to humans is actually due to the constant animal abuse. And obviously we all know the pandemic that we're going through right now because of COVID-19, which was spread through the consumption of bats, is only one of the examples. And I connected both of these because even though Neytiri's focus wasn't about virus or anything like that, they both still focus on the fact that animal cruelty is wrong and it should not happen. So my second point is how Neytiri values the soil and land itself. So in this scene, Neytiri and Sully are sleeping and they are woken up by a huge tractor that is destroying their land. And when Neytiri sees this, she's hysterical, she's really sad, she starts crying as she sees her land being destroyed in front of her eyes. So this is the scene.
Neytiri! Here, come on!
So as you can see, she was very hysterical, she was very sad. Even though there weren't any injuries, any casualties, she was still really sad because it was heartbreaking for her to see the land that she truly loves and thinks highly of being destroyed. So I connected this to a historical event, which was when Christopher Columbus arrived in what is known as the Americas. Native Americans resided on that land, and when foreigners began to arrive to their land, the population of Native Americans began to decrease, and obviously the lands began to change. And I think it's very similar, both situations, because it's both about people who live in lands, or creatures that live in a land, and foreigners come and begin to change it, and it negatively affects the people who are from that land. And this article I got from history.com. So my next point is the strong connection that Neytiri has to trees. So this particular tree that is in the picture is the Tree of Voices, which is, as Neytiri describes, a tree where they can pray and they can listen to their ancestors. And in this scene, when she is explaining that to Sully, she grabs the leaves from the tree, and she holds them close to her chest and her face, and she smiles as she is explaining this to him, which gives the impression that she really values the tree. So this is the scene.
This is a place for prayers to be heard and sometimes answered. We call these trees Utraya Mokri, the Tree of Voices.
So as you can see, she holds on to them. It seems like she really values the tree, and it's something that is very important in her life and very influential. So I connected this to what for us, or for anyone in the world, is religion. So religion is one of the most powerful elements in a person's life. And this article from UC Berkeley News interviewed this man who said, and I quote, "My religion as a Sikh affects everything I do, even the food that I eat. I am a vegetarian because of my religion and my appearance." So obviously religion is something that affects everyone. If you believe in something or someone or anything at all, it's very influential in your life. And to Neytiri, that tree is her religion. So that's why I connected both of these. So the next point that I'll talk about is a native seed called the wood sprite, which is a seed from the Tree of Voices. As you can see in the picture, it kind of looks like a jellyfish, but it floats around in the air. So the two scenes that I'm going to talk about for this example is one in the beginning of the movie, before Sully and Neytiri actually meet. Neytiri was going to kill Sully, and she didn't, because when she was about to, a wood sprite landed on the tip of her bow, and that gave her an indication that she shouldn't kill him. And then the next scene is when they were walking around, and suddenly multiple wood sprites began to land in Sully's body, and she looked at them in awe and immediately changed her mind on her opinion on Sully. So these are both of the scenes. This is when she sees Sully for the first time. She's getting ready to kill him. Because she knew that he wasn't a true Omaticaya. And just when she's about to, the wood sprite lands on her bow and she decides not to kill him. So this next scene is the second one that I was talking about, which was when the wood sprites landed on Sully's body. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit.
No! Atko Kirina!
As you can see, Sully was trying to fight them off, and she was very aggressively telling him not to, which means that she truly values them. And in this point in the movie, she actually was telling Sully to leave, but when this happened, she changes her mind immediately and tells him to come with her, which means that the wood sprite has huge influence on her.
What are they?
Seeds of the sacred tree. Very pure spirits.
What was that all about?
Come. Come.
So I connected this to what for us humans is instincts. So obviously there are two ways at making a decision. It's making the decision based on what your heart tells you or what your brain tells you. And usually when we make decisions, we get instincts, and it really drives us to make a decision, even if initially it's not what we thought, or we start to double think. We usually go with our instincts, and instincts for her is the wood sprite, which says a lot about how she thinks of the wood sprite, that it actually takes over that that part of herself, which is the instinct part. The wood sprite takes over that part, which shows that obviously it's very important to her. And I used this article from CNN Wire Service, which is just basically an example of how instincts can make an effect in people. It's basically a Chick-fil-A employee saving the life of an unconscious man because of his instincts. He said that instinct took over, and that he knew that that's where God placed him at that time. So finally, based on all of the examples that I gave, I think that Neytiri highly values her environment. Doesn't matter if it's a living being or if it's not a living being. She values every part of her environment, and she would do anything to save it. To me, she's also a representation of a noble savage, which in literature, it's a term that describes people before being corrupted by civilization, who were more, who respected more their environment. And to me, even though this movie technically took place in a time that's really far away because it's in the future, it still has that depiction of a noble savage. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.